And I'm going to attempt to do a screen share. Okay. Does that look okay to you guys? Brendan, nod your head. I can see you. Yeah?
Yes,
Okay.
it looks good.
Okay. All right. So who in here, you can either comment or raise your hand. Who is familiar with Oola? Who has the books? Who has the oils? Yeah? Several of you. So this is the book, the first original book. They've done quite a few different books now. I also have the Oola for Women. Have not read it all the way through. This is the Oola set of oils. The first time I ever saw these oils was when we were at care training and at Max and Karen's house, and I was like, "Ooh, what is going on with those 7F oils? That is pretty amazing." So I had the Oola oils on my wish list since the first day I saw it, and I ended up saving up my ER points to get it. This is still my original set that I have. One of the greatest things about using the oils for emotional is you can just smell them. You can just enjoy that scent. You can put them on, but a lot of times I will just pick up the bottle and smell it and really breathe it in. So I've had them for a long time. Love them. So if you do not have a pen and paper, go ahead and grab that because you're going to want to take some notes for you, jot down some things to set some goals for. And I'm hoping, I cannot see who else on here, but Julie Clark is going to jump on too. And she and Carrie Ingram they have actually attended Oola Palooza. Have you guys heard of that? It's a pretty intense training that goes through Oola and helps you set goals. And I have not attended that, but I know they have, and they walked away with a great experience from it. Also, Oola is doing some coach training to become a life coach with the Oola. So if any of that interests you, then I would check into it. But otherwise, just using this for your everyday life, you will get a lot from it. So I'm not Rhonda Favano, even though it says Rhonda. My name is Suzanne Griffin. We live in Southeast Kansas in a little town, and I was introduced to Young Living through Rhonda and several of my friends, I think almost 7 years ago now, 6 years ago. And we have 6 kids. We used to homeschool, not anymore. Kind of excited about that. We have 1 grandbaby. Our second oldest daughter had a grandbaby a couple months ago. And it's just been a really cool lifestyle for us and a really fun journey. So if you're just starting out with Young Living, I'm super excited that you're here. And if you've been in for a while, I'm super excited you're here. Because no matter where you're at, there's always something new you can learn, something new you can do. And with the Oola, one of the things it was just such a neat fit for me because every year, as long as I can remember, I would drag my husband with me to set goals. Like that was our New Year's resolution / anniversary date because our anniversary is actually January 1st. So we'd go out to eat and I'd have all these amazing goals for every different area. And he was not equally on board, but he did entertain me and listen and then say, yeah, that sounds great. Super. But then my goals were not his goals. So we do our own goals, not necessarily all of them together, and that's perfectly okay. So Oola is finding balance in life's greatest areas. And forgive me, here we go. Together we can change the world with one word, and that's Oola. The Oola lifestyle is just a balance and a growing in those areas. It's not about perfection, it is about progress. So every year when you set your goals and look forward to those areas, we're going to be talking about fitness, finance, family, field, faith, friends, and fun. I love that they did all 7 because those are the things, those are easy words to remember. Set at night, set it weekly, set it monthly, quarterly, and they're easy to just explain or to pass on to your kids as well. There are 3 simple steps to the Oola life. It's knowing where you're at, knowing where you want to go, and breaking those down into little bite-sized chunks so that you can get there through smart goals. So where are you today? Did you guys have a chance to take the quiz online? The Oola quiz wheel.
Yes,
Awesome.
we did.
So each year I print it off and I save it in my Oola book so that I can retake it the next year and see where those numbers line up and match. And the goal is always just a little better. Not you're never going to be a 10 on every single place at the same time. There may be years that you need to focus in and zone in on one area and have little bite-sized chunks in the other. It may be that you have to set something aside for a time. Many of us who are moms, we cannot, it's really hard to fit in all 7 of those areas and give them a good balance all the time. And so that's what I like about the wheel is that it helps us really give a mirror of what's going on in our lives so that we know where to start. Step 2, where do you want to go? It's really important. It's kind of like with our businesses, with rank mapping. If we want to get to silver, then we need to know, some numbers that go with that. How many people in a team average does it take to get to silver? How many people do you need ordering and on ER? And what does your average order on ER need to be? And then you can back up and say, oh, well, I'm about 50 people short in this leg. So then you know backwards how you work. It's the same thing when you're setting your goals. You know where you want to be, and then you need to break it down. Okay, is this a true year goal? Is this a 5-year goal? Is this a 10-year goal? And if it's a huge quest and challenge, then maybe it needs to be a 5-year goal or a 2-year goal. And then break that down into monthly. And then each month, what is that going to take weekly? What is little things you can do daily if you're working towards that? It's not live yet, but when we were at church this morning, our pastor was talking about goals. And I will upload the link to our podcast from church this morning when our church gets it uploaded. He's funny, really outgoing. So I think you guys will like that sermon on goals. And he has a really great biblical perspective on it. So goals are the milestones to your dreams. We've heard a lot of cliches of, shoot for the stars and you'll land among the moon. And you don't aim for anything, you'll get there. And that's what we want to do with our goals, is finding what we have a passion for and breaking that down backwards so that we can accomplish those dreams. Something that has helped me is to attach a person to that dream. To we had a dream to go on a cruise that is leaving tomorrow, but due to one of our daughters having this baby, couldn't take the baby, so I'm backed out. But our boys, some of our kids are still going with family on it. So, a month ahead of time, we couldn't just say, oh, we're going to save up $5,000 this month. So honestly, for our size of family, we knew it was going to take about 2 years of planning and savings to get there. SMART goals are specific, measurable, accountable, and they have a time frame to them. Accountable, you can be accountable to yourself. You can also be accountable to a spouse or a friend. It's just whatever feels best for you, or maybe just even a mentor if you have a mentor that you work with. So, I'm not even following all my notes, sorry. And I don't know if I mentioned what the R is. It's realistic. So have you guys heard of Girl Wash Your Face? Have you heard it, the book, or read the book? One of the things that she talked about in there that hit me was, she said if we are not accountable to ourselves, and we constantly are breaking our word to ourselves, then we know that we're not going to be reliable. We know that when we say something or dream something, that we constantly have let ourselves down. And so John Acuff actually has a great book called Finish. And he talks about how important it is to not just start something, but to finish it. Because most people, they'll start a diet on January 1st. The majority, I think it was like close to 87%, had quit by day 12 because they had a little slide back. So they thought, okay, the whole year is ruined. That's one day that you got off track. Start again. And when we set realistic goals and smaller goals along the way that are easier to achieve, then it gives us confidence that, okay, I made it this far. I can make it to the next stop. So working backwards, say set a goal for silver for a year, then, where are you going to be for executive? Where are you going to be for senior star? Where are you going to be for just that first person, and helping that first person to sponsor their first person and then just get to star. So it's little tiny steps. And maybe it's not just focusing on, it may be, if you're just starting out, not focusing on a first sponsor, maybe it's just a first reach out to talk to somebody about the list. Maybe you're going to need some time to focus on you. Everybody is at a different point in their journey, both emotionally and on every single different area of that, the fitness, finance, fun, all of those, we're all at different points of maturity and ready in different ways at different times. I know this is not something else, but it's an old one, but it takes years of the roots to grow on a bamboo tree. And then once it finally breaks through the surface, it can grow 1.5 feet in an hour. It is just amazing. So Don't compare yourself. Somebody else may set a goal. Hey, I'm going to lose 100 pounds. And they've been doing all the underground work on their heart and their emotion issues, and they can do it. Where you may be in first year, and that's where you need to start, is those roots. So there is all kinds of help everywhere. And our team has all kinds of amazing resources, whether it be AFT, an aroma freedom technique. If you're stuck on one of those areas and you've really been working on it for a while, then maybe there's something emotional that needs some attention before you can move ahead. Does that make sense? So ask for what you need. Don't feel bad to reach out to your upline, your friends. Ask them, hey, do you guys have some resources? What are some oils? What are some other techniques or something that I may not have thought about before as I'm working through these goals? Okay, so the first area we're going to talk about is the fitness. Everything health and wellness in your life. And obviously, if you guys are part of the Young Living team, that is not new news to you. So how you use your body and what you put into your body. And we can use oils all day long. We can take supplements all day long. But if we are feeding our body the most amount is what we eat. And so by changing our food intake and what we're eating and drinking, that's going to be a huge benefit for how the oils are going to work in our bodies and the supplements. So that is the hardest thing for a lot of people to switch out, because our American diet is nowhere even close to healthy most of the times. And we have, if you go to the store and you see things on the shelf and you think, okay, well, if it's food and it's on the shelf, it must be safe. And it's just so much relearning in this area. It feels daunting at times. So if that's an area that you need to work on and need help or support in, then definitely reach out. So the fitness. I am fit, healthy, disciplined, and strong. And you can order actually wristbands from Oola that have the different colors that match the oils, and they all have an affirmation on them.
When I'm making a blend of that.
Okay. I'm going to go back here to the fitness. Wanted to share. So some of the things for fitness. Some people on here are probably could be training for a marathon, and some of us might be in a complete health crisis. So again, focus on progress, not perfection. Break down if you need to lose 50 pounds, take that backwards. So how long safely would it take to lose 2 pounds? And figure that out. And what do you need to do to lose 2 pounds? And there's all kinds of things like the Whole30 and Trim Healthy Mama, and everybody was talking about it today at church, different themes of fitness, because that's what we think about predominantly right after the first year, because everybody who is struggling in that area, that is definitely the one thing that everybody feels like, if I had this under control, then it would make everything else easier. As we are going through in the Anointing Nations, wintertime is actually the worst time to start a diet. Our bodies are not physically ready to completely do an overhaul change. So if fitness is one of your things that you really need to work on, put that in the back of your mind to be ready like in March for your body to say, okay, I can start taking in a different calorie amount. I can take in healthier foods. Not that you can't start healthier foods now, but we set up ourselves up a lot of times for failure when we start diets in the winter because just the way our body's made up. So anyway, we're going to talk about that in the spring. Super fun. So maybe until spring in this area, add in some walking, add in cutting out pop or one thing. And if you take something away, replace it. If you're going to cut out pop, replace it with a Good Girl moonshine or the lemon and lime in your water. Something like that. So every time you take something away, you add something back in. Okay.
When I'm making a blend,
Now finances, all things personal, finance, income, debt, giving, savings, all of that falls into the financial area. So we either are increasing our income or we're decreasing our expenses if we're at a crunch point. And I would definitely say build your Young Living business. Cut out as much debt as we can. Maybe do some side job if you need to, but having an actual business is a very intelligent and wise thing to do with your money. When we have been self-employed for years, and you know, there's a lot of benefit to being self-employed. It is hard at times. However, there are a lot of deductions that you can take having your own business. So where we can deduct our cell phones because he's got a construction business and I have a home-based business. We can deduct a lot of things and mileage that other people can't do. It is wise to have a side hustle regardless what you do in life, just for the benefit of the deductions. I debated whether to share this or not. Again, I was at a place in the right time building the business that things took off really quickly because of the leaders that I had on my team. It wasn't because of me. I was willing to go do classes, but God blessed us with some amazing women like Allison Collins and Madison Goodyear and Stephanie Flanner, and just it was amazing to see those people rise up from moms in this little bitty town to seeing them become these women of leadership. And if finances are a struggle in your home, Young Living is an answer. You know somebody else who is struggling with finances? Young Living is an answer. It can be little or big. It could be as little as just getting their oils free. I wrote down a couple things that my Young Living check paid for this month, and I am beyond filled with gratitude every single month and so humbled that I was able to pay our mortgage, our taxes, our insurance, our gas, electric, water, trash, recycling, TV, my Young Living order, and our groceries, and vehicle gas, insurance, and tax. And that is phenomenal for us because we have been on every kind of assistance beforehand. My husband worked in a $12 an hour job and with 6 kids, and I stayed home. And it was, I can remember collecting quarters one time to go buy milk. It was ugly. So Young Living has completely changed our lives. Dave Ramsey is an amazing resource, a Christian resource for helping with budgeting and that snowball payoff. I've got a notebook that I keep all of our bills in, so I know when things are due. I try to set up as much stuff to be paid online as possible. And our trash guy does not pay online. It's so frustrating. But so you could do some sales of oils. You could do some vendor events and sell some things there. But your greatest benefit is any kind of residual income, because you do the work and then you get paid consistently. We've got some rentals for that same reason too. I get really nervous talking about money, but money's talked a lot about in the Bible. And money in good people's hands can do some really good things. When we were struggling, our tithe, it just felt like such a burden. It made me feel ugly to not even want to tithe, because I was so scared of, that I knew what that represented. And we're nowhere near where we want to be. And just to know what we could do with additional money is very humbling in the same way as exciting. And I know a lot of you guys have that same heart of just wanting to be a blessing to others. And it's really hard to be a blessing to others when you are wondering where the electric bill is going to come from this month, right?
And when I made finance, taking the
This is
experience
Gary
of
Young.
20 plus years with abundance and looking at finance just to bring a little more balance into it, having more years and just looking at life and people and that. And so I really wanted to look at what we needed. And one of the things that I did in finance is I went in first with frankincense. And this was a little different approach. And the reason I did is because we have such a stigmatism about money. And there's all this attitude about money's evil. The Bible doesn't say it's evil. It says the lust for it is wrong. But it's all distorted. So I'm going to go in with frankincense. When I started looking and planning how I'm going to build finance, I'm going to use frankincense because I'm going to break through that stigmatism that has been created for years. I put gathering in because the predominant oil in gathering is gallbone. And I made that blend to help us to focus, to bring all of our thoughts together. Because when you're looking at improving your finances, you want to become a Royal Diamond distributor, or you want to raise in your job or a promotion or a bonus. You want to be focused on what you're doing. Humility. I watch people all the time, they start making money and they change. You don't know who they are. I see it around me a lot. And it's sad for me. We're not supposed to change with money. We're supposed to become more humble because we have more power.
That was Gary Young. And I love how he kept his humbleness the entire time. Okay, so as we're going through here, I should have mentioned this first with fitness, but think of three things that you'd like to accomplish in each of those areas. So jot down 3 things with fitness, 3 things with fitness, and then finances. And they do not have to be ironed out, worked out yet. We're going to weed everything down at the end, okay? So family, all things family, whether you're single, married, divorced, whether you have kids or not. This includes wherever you're at and who is your family. Sometimes our family kind of gets put on the back burner. And so if your goal is that you need to work on some family relationships, make sure to pencil that in, or if you write in pen in your calendar, write it down for specific times. Have you guys seen that illustration when they have a jar and they put big rocks in first and then the medium rocks, and then they can pour sand in and then water? When we put the big things in our life first, and then we fill it in with the more other important and then the lesser and lesser, we can get a lot more in. But if we start with this jar and we fill it up with water, we can't get anything else in there. So when we have our goals laid out in front of us and something comes along and we can say, where does this fit in my goals? It doesn't. So I'm going to have to say no. I really appreciate you asking me about that. It sounds fun. I love it. I don't have the space for it right now in my life. But feel free to ask me again, maybe next year or in a couple months from now. But that is another way that Oola, or finding your balance and setting your goals, is just, it helps you to simplify your life. So if you have a spouse, you may want to have a date night every month on the calendar. You may want to have a date night in every week. You may watch a series on Netflix every night after kids go to bed, whatever your thing is. We have try to do a date night once a month out without kids. We have a date night once a month with each kid. So Alan takes 3 and I take 3, and then we try to swap the next month so that I've got 3, and which is great because I get to eat out more often. Vacations in there. If you're planning something big, you may have to bite it in smaller chunks. Vacation may just be a day. For us, we're fairly close to Branson, and that's about as enjoyable a ride long distance for the age that our kids are at without the bickering. Or run to Kansas City for the day. It doesn't have to be anything major. And birthdays, anniversaries, traditions, all of those are in my calendar, not just the date of the event, but then I back up 2 months ahead of time and write in there. So like when my daughter's birthday is April the 7th. So I back up 2 months and write in for February 7th, start planning ahead for what we're going to do for Mackenzie's birthday. And it's usually not anything huge, except for, maybe all of our family gets together. But if I'm planning a sweet 16 birthday party, then I need more time. If, we're planning for holidays. So every holiday, depending on what it is in my calendar a month to 3 months ahead of time to begin preparing for that. If it's St. Patrick's, it's just things I need to be concentrating on or planning for, buying, so I can make a fun St. Patrick's Day breakfast and supper, things like that. We also do Kid of the Day, which somebody else had passed on to me, and I thought it was genius. So every single day is a different kid's day. If I run errands, that's the kid that gets to go with me. If they're all going with me, that's the kid that gets to ride in the front seat. That's the kid that gets to pick out the movie, or if we're playing a game night, they're the ones that picks out the game. And it rotates, like every 3 months we rotate chores and we rotate Kid of the Day. They also are responsible for helping make supper that night with me. So that gives us one-on-one time, and it also has helped all the kids, to learn to cook and have fun that way. Amen. And then once a month, it's been my goal for this next year, is to do raindrops on each kid once a month, or this month, or an emotional balance, something like that. But I want to have some time to really just focus on them and their health one day a month. Between school activities, volunteering, all that kind of stuff, you'll have to figure out what works, obviously, for your family. We do a lot of texting now that with the older kids. I try to send out if I'm doing prayer time in the morning, if there's something that comes up or in my devotional, I may send them just like a little screenshot or a pin, save a pin of a Bible verse or send it to them or something like that. So you guys probably have some great ideas. So the next one is field. Your career, profession, whether you're a stay-at-home mom, if you're a student in college, high school, whatever, whatever your job is currently. If you are working full-time and trying to do young living on the side, then you've got several different categories of field. With my field, so within my field, I have goals for daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly within my Young Living business. Also within our home, because I'm the homemaker also. So I have a home management binder that has everything in there from meal plans and our cleaning lists and chores and schedules and the kids' chores. And then we have some rentals, so we've got goals set within that. And I do not near as often as we did because now I'm grandma-ing so my daughter can finish high school. But I used to have where I was doing the raindrops and things out of the home. So I had each of those categories as a different field and just worked on that. But over the time, I mean, I really love my home management binder. It's so nice to have lists in there. And if you're not a list person, you totally are not going to get this. But I get great joy out of making a list and having a list. So anyway, the field smells amazing.
You've got people that get up.
Okay. So the next one is, the faith. Is based on gratitude and humility and an understanding of a greater purpose in the world. If you don't have a relationship with Christ and you would like to or would like some information on that, absolutely reach out to me or any of your leaders that would love to help you. If that is not part of what your faith consists of, then do what is most comfortable for you. But I would love to share the love of Christ with you if that is not something that's in your current life. So as far as faith goes, again, it's easiest for me in almost all the areas to have something daily, weekly, monthly goals. So whether that be a daily time for devotions or prayer, and then a weekly time to attend a church, and then maybe monthly or bi-monthly attend a small group. Those are some great opportunities to build some relationships and growth for yourself. I know that there's been times when we were working a lot on Sundays, and there's podcasts, there's Audible, there's all kinds of things out there that you can get caught up and get fed through other ways, but having that live interaction is really, really important for most of us. And to use our gifts and our tithe and our service gives us an opportunity to really, like it says, to be grateful, to have this gratitude about us, that when we lay down our lives for others and become a servant for others, it really can soften our hearts and open up the doors that we may not have had an experience with before. Our church is currently doing a 21 days of prayer and fasting. And so it's just one topic for 2 minutes a day, just taking a little bite-sized chunks to pray about on all different areas of life. And I can post a link to that list too, if you guys are interested and want something like that. Um,
And
okay, so the next one is friends. Everything's social, friends and acquaintances. So you might write down some goals in this area. This is a hard one for me. I have a lot of like friends in general, but I'm really bad at taking the time to go do with just friends. I always think I'm busy. We'll catch each other eventually. That one tends to fall easiest and fun on my to-do list. And that's another area that I want to be a better friend. My sister, both of my sisters are really good at, but one of my sisters has this amazing talent for picking up little gifts or a card or just thinking of the most thoughtful ways to reach out to people. And she definitely puts me to shame. She's amazing in that area. So some of the things for friends, I love Facebook. I'm super thankful that we have the internet that we did not used to have. I like seeing Rhonda and Brenda and April, and just it's fun to see your guys' faces when I don't get to see you in real life hardly ever. And so I love that aspect of the internet, but it is also really nice to run into somebody and get a hug and really just see them face to face and sit down for coffee. And I read a part of a book called Don't Ever Eat Alone. And it talked about, try to reach out to people. If you're going to be going out to lunch anyway, just plan ahead and invite a friend to meet you for lunch if you work in the workplace. Or if you are a stay-at-home mom, then invite another mom over with her kids sometimes for lunch. Um, so everybody has an inner circle. And something that I'd heard one time was, Jesus had 12 disciples. He had 12 of his inner circles. So set that maybe as a goal to have 12 close friends that you can reach out to and send an email to or a text when you need prayer or when you need advice. Those are your inner circle people. And then you have a little bit bigger circle and a little bit bigger circle. And different people fit in different circles. And you have to be careful who you allow in towards those circles, because you don't want somebody who is, I don't like the word toxic so much, but you want somebody who aligns with your values to be in there in the inner core. You want those to be the people that would fight for your dreams and you fight for theirs and you care about each other. So some goals might be, if your heart not very good in this area, also maybe set a goal of once a month I'm gonna have coffee with a friend, just for the sake of that friendship.
with friends,
Okay. Explores your personal passion in life. This is the fun area. And I don't feel fun. Like when I was looking through my list of things that I enjoy, I wrote down personal growth. I guess I'm a real learning nerd because I get great joy out of reading books and listening to podcasts. And even with my podcast list, they're broken down into those 7 areas. And so I kind of just rotate through and listen to 7 different areas of podcasts and learn while I'm doing dishes and laundry and driving. If there's not a kid in the car to talk to me every 2 seconds. we do remodeling and decorating and teaching. I love teaching. I teach a class on women's wardrobe. That's super fun. Pinterest, ooh, that is a great evil. When I go to people's houses, what do? Almost everybody immediately starts apologizing for the state of their home. And I'm looking around. I was just in a friend's house the other night, and she just kept apologizing for the mess. And I thought, it looks lived in. It looks like every other house I've been in. It is not. There wasn't a disaster. It wasn't nasty. It was lived in. And I think we can tend to find a lot of discontentment when we are comparing to somebody's best moments on Facebook or Pinterest. So we have to be very careful about that. So if you want to find a good way, if you are a Pinterest person or an Instagram person, a good way to find what your passions are is look through your boards. See what you have the most pins in and most interest in, and that will help you eliminate down. It was really fun when I started looking through and adding up like where I have the most pins, and food was really high on my list. I was like, wow. So, maybe you just need a break. Maybe you need to have a little hobby on the side. Maybe you could, not everything in the world comes back to building a young living business, but I was listening to Deborah Rayburn, and she said that when she was trying to meet some new people, she had to build some new friendships. And the way that she built some new friendships was because she started teaching some classes on things that she loved. Didn't have anything to do with young living, but she knew if she taught a class on how to make bread, she would attract people who wanted to make their own bread. So they'd have something in common. And actually, after doing a couple different classes, she had this whole new group of friends. And then those new group of friends were like her, also wanted health options like her. So we attract a lot of the people. We become like the 5 people we spend the most time with and the books we read. So I thought that was really cool when she shared that. It wasn't going in with it with the idea of I'm going to sneakily get these people into my business. It was, I need new people in my life. And by doing that, they came over to the Young Living side. Okay, so step 3, how are you going to get there? So what you want to do first is look down. Each of those 7 areas have 3 goals in each of those 7 areas. And it can be huge, it could be little. It does not matter, but 3 things that you think are important in each of those 7 areas. So you're going to have 21 goals to start with, right? Then you're going to look through that list and you're going to number 1 through 7. And those are going to be your top 7 goals for this next year. They do not have to be in all 7 different areas. Those are going to be the 7 things that you really want to see happen this year, or maybe need to happen whether you want them to or not. And then once you go from 21 down to 7, you're going to look at those 7 and you're going to decide what your Oola number 1 goal is this year. That's the one goal you are going to focus on first. You're going to put that in your calendar. You're going to break that down into bite-sized chunks, put that in your calendar, work backwards of whatever you need to do to make that one goal happen. Now, if you do not have the book, there are a couple blockers that they talk about in the book, and a couple of accelerators that either keep us held back or help us move faster towards our goals. And I'm just going to run through them real quick. The number one blocker is fear. Does that surprise you guys? No. Almost every area, fear can get a hold of you. And unrealistic fear can really paralyze us from making decisions or making that start. Mel Robbins has a book called The 5-Second Rule. And she recommends that if you think you see somebody and you're like, oh my gosh, I just feel like maybe I should talk to her or invite them to church, whatever it is. But then you start thinking, oh, but what will they say? Oh, will they think I'm crazy? All these judgments and thoughts go through our minds, playing out what we guess is going to happen in the future. Well, Mel Robbins says, do a 5-second countdown. Okay, I see a girl. You know what? I think I've seen her before. I'm going to invite her to church. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I walk over and do it without another thought of what the outcome is going to be. I let the outcome be the outcome, not my prejudgment of what's going to be the outcome. And so she does it with everything. She had a hard time hitting the snooze, and that's where it started for her. So when the alarm went off in the morning, she just said 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, got up. Didn't allow any more decisions. She just did it. So I thought it was really fascinating. Not that I always do it, because then I'm like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I would like to snooze again. But anyway, so fear, just go and don't let that be a stopper. Guilt. A lot of times, guilt can be a hang-up. We start today, no matter what you've done, what you've failed at before. Everybody deserves a great life. So tomorrow, here's a brand new day. It does not matter your background. Tomorrow's a new day. The heaviest weight that we carry is the weight of guilt. We all make mistakes. We're all human. We've said things and done things. Nobody is perfect. And so don't compare yourself to anybody else. You compare yourself to you from yesterday and constantly strive to do just a little bit better, a little bit better. Anger. Anger can really ruin somebody's life. If you can't get a handle on it, it can ruin relationships. It can cause a lot of fear from other people to be attracted to you. So if you're quick to anger, make sure that you might want to get some help with that and understand where that anger is coming from. Try to look at it from a perspective of if somebody's driving too slow. Okay, are they driving too slow, or is this God's opportunity to protect you from being somewhere 2 minutes faster that could have put you in an accident? Is it an abusive father, or are you learning to be a kind and stronger person? Is it a cheating spouse, or is God giving you an opportunity to start a new life? Try not to let anger be your first go-to. Self-sabotage is another area. We need to avoid getting in the way of our own successes. John Acuff, I think I mentioned it earlier, he has this book called Finish. And he said so many people will get right up to the end and they've done this amazing job all the way on this project. And then they've got a week left and they peter out and they don't finish it. It's like there's nothing more important than just finishing it, hanging in there for that last little bit. And when I was thinking about it, for me, that is follow-up. That is follow-up after the vendor events. That's follow-up after I talk to somebody. I can follow up after a class. I can do the prep work. I can do it. And then I lose the excitement and I lose a lot of that momentum at the end. Laziness, overcoming laziness. If following your dreams was easy, everybody would do it. Hard work and effort is required. The last, or envy. Someone else will always have or be more than us. Learn to be the best you. Don't envy what somebody else has in the way that we wish that they didn't have it. Focus is another blocker. Think about a laser beam versus a flashlight. A laser beam zooms in, it's tight, it's specific. A flashlight, the farther it gets away, the less useful it is. Concentrate on your one thing. This may step on some toes, but when I see people who are jumping from one business to the next, that's not your one thing. You are all over the place, and you lose respect. You lose people's interest to know that you know what you're doing or what your passion is. You also, I heard Laura Hopkins explain it this way. If you're trying to build two different organizations at one time, if you built to gold in Young Living and gold in another company, that check between those two would be nowhere close to building to Royal Crown in one company. You're going to put the same effort in to do two businesses as if you'd wrap up all of the effort over here and put it in one. So focus your energy. Focus, if you're building, focus on building one thing. If your focus is on church this year, focus on getting involved with that church. Don't be a church hopper. Sink in, whatever it is that your goal is, one goal, one thing. Okay, and then the accelerators are gratitude, love, discipline, integrity, passion, humility, and wisdom. Have you guys seen the movie Pollyanna? You should make your kids watch it. It's an old Disney movie, and she is an orphan. She has every reason to be negative, and no matter what it is, she finds something to be happy about. When all the other kids were complaining because they had the same thing for supper over and over again, she was thankful that they had something to eat, period. And it's a good movie. Oh, okay. I wanted to share this with you. Will Smith, he was asked what he attributes his greatest success to, and he says work ethic and discipline. The only thing that I can say that distinctly is different about me as an actor is I'm not afraid to die on the treadmill. I will not be outworked. You might be smarter, you might be sexier, you might have more talent, but if it's working, you'll either get off the treadmill first or I'll die trying. And I thought that is such a good example of discipline. Discipline is hard. Discipline is doing what you need to do day in and day out, even when you don't want to. So the 3 steps to the Oola life is do the will, take the test, find out, according to the will of different areas that you are out of balance in. Plan, where do you want to go, and have your path of how you're going to get there. The Circle Maker is a great devotional book on dreams and goals. And he talks about having a bucket list of 100 things attached to people. So not just, I want to go to the Eiffel Tower, but I want to go to the Eiffel Tower with my wife and kiss her on the top of it. Not just, I want to be debt-free. I want to be debt-free so that I can send my kids to college debt-free. or I can send another kid that has no opportunity to buy athletic shoes for track this season to go buy them a pair of track shoes. There's several classes coming up. I did not write down the dates, but you can look for them in the Anointing Nations. And I will try to post, I won't try to post, I will post some links in the class, as well as there's a couple goal sheets that I have that are blank that will help maybe fill it out if you want something like that. And if you guys have questions or anything specific that I mentioned that you want information on, or if I mentioned a book or anything like that, then let me know and I can post those as well too. So if you guys have a question now, you're welcome to unmute yourself or put it up in the chat. And that's all I have. And I don't see where the chat button is. And I'll go ahead and let it record now. Post the affirmations for each Oola. Yes, I can do that. I am writing that down so that I remember to do that. Thank you. What were the accelerators? The accelerators are wisdom, gratitude, love, discipline, integrity, passion, and humility. Anything else? I'm so glad you guys gave up your time tonight to hang out with me. And I hope I'm not overwhelming you and that you will not feel at a loss. Like, there's so much you can do with goals, but I do love that Oola helps you break it down and find what you really need to focus on, one thing at a time. And if you do one thing each year, 10, 20 years from now, you've got 20 huge goals that you've taken on and accomplished. My favorite Oola book is the original one. The Oola for Women, I have not read it all, just part of it, but for me, it feels like it's just wording it in different, different examples and things. I do. The benefit of getting one Oola goal is think about the one that would affect all the others. So if you feel like one of your biggest hangups is, let's say, fitness, you don't feel good. So it makes it really hard for you to go to work, or it makes it really hard for you to play with the kids and build that relationship, or go, do stuff with your husband, or you're not sleeping well. So then you forget other things. Then you can maybe, looking at all of that, what is one goal that would trickle out and affect the others? And that's your one goal that you want to start with. Thank you, Jeff. Yes, I will post, Bailey, a link to the recording. Hey, Julie, do you want to hop on and share anything about Oola Palooza? I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were on here. If Julie, if I can find the mic. I'll see if I can get you unmuted. Okay, Julie, can you, I unmuted you, I think, so.
Suzanne, I have a question in the meantime.
Yes.
So if you set a goal and you don't accomplish that goal within that specific time frame that you've set, what do you typically do at that point?
I moved the date.
Okay.
Adam Green, he shared at convention a couple of years ago, and it really was eye-opening for me, because a lot of times I felt like if I didn't hit a goal by that time frame, then I'd failed. And Adam had originally had a goal sheet that he had a whole bunch of different goals on, and he hit some of them sooner than he planned, and some of them he didn't hit when he thought he would. And he just said, just move the date. You didn't get it there, so set a new goal and a new time frame. It's that simple. Don't let it be one more thing to make you feel like you failed, because it may just take more time than you thought it would take.
Thanks.
Yes, Jen, great. Okay. That's all right, Julie. And if you you could even go into the group and maybe share in the Oola event group some of the things that you learned from Oola Palooza, or what you took away from it. And Julie,
Suzanne, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Yay!
Yay!
I'm a little challenged technologically sometimes.
That's okay.
You did a great job, by the way. You did really,
Thank you.
really well. I think the one thing I could share on Oola Palooza, which actually was just an amazing event. Carrie and I were fortunate to go when the guys were up in Kansas City. So it wasn't the big Oola Palooza, but it was just as impactful, I'm sure. I think the one thing I can share, though, is set time aside to really do the work. Make an appointment with yourself, because you're worth it. It's very, very important to be uninterrupted, not have distractions, and really get real with yourself. I mean, it's so easy to kind of justify actions or justify behaviors, or kind of make excuses for things. And I know the first day for me was a little bit difficult, because I really wanted to hide behind emotions and try to justify some of my behaviors. But by the second day, when we really got serious, you have to lay everything down and be completely vulnerable with yourself. And when you do that, and you really do the hard work and revisit, I think Stephanie asked about if the goals overlapping or one thing impacting another. I think they do. And if you're more honest and vulnerable with yourself, I think you'll see better results. So that would be the one thing I would contribute.
Thank
Suzanne,
you.
Suzanne, can I chime in?
Yes.
Okay. I just finished my Oola certification for life coaching, and one of the things.
That's awesome.
So thank you. One of the things that we talked about, and I got on the call a little bit late, so I'm not sure if you covered this or not, but talking about your goals and goal setting, one of the things that's super, super important is the Skittles and the oranges. So you have all of the things that you need to do on a daily basis. You need to pick up your kids. You need to have your laundry done. You need to cook dinner, things like that. But you also, those are your Skittles. You also have your oranges, which is working on your business, spending time with your family, your faith, all of those things. So if you take that time the night before and put it on a 3x5 note card, or even let's say your phone. I use my phone. I don't sit and write it on a note card. To be quite honest, I use my phone. So my Skittles and my oranges. What are my action steps that I'm going to take to achieve those goals? And if I have those the night before, my days mapped out, it's easier to get to my goals on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly, and then finally a year. So, and if you do that each day, you're going to be 1,000 steps closer to your goal at the end of that year.
Thank you, Jen.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't do the 3x5 card. I have just a simple blank journal, and this is my to-do list. I have a calendar that just goes with me, so I have dates. But every day at the end of the day, or actually the first thing in the morning is when I do mine, is I transfer everything to the next day, or what didn't get done, or
Mm-hmm.
what was moved the next day.
Yep.
And, we work towards that. And otherwise, those Skittles
Mm-hmm.
will take out everything.
Absolutely. And it's so much easier to plan the oranges and when you put the oranges in your bucket first and plan the Skittles around it. A lot of times people ask me, well, how do you get it done? You have your Young Living business, you have your shoe store, you homeschool your kids, things like that. And I share that not to, yay me, nothing like that. I'm sharing that because I do the oranges versus the Skittles. I put those things in first, and then I fit the other things around that. And it takes a little bit of a mind shift to go, okay, I'm going to prioritize my day on the things that need to get done to move me forward instead of letting the little things eat you up. So that's awesome that you have it all in a journal and you can go back. I love that. That's great.
I'm super excited that you got this life coach. That's amazing.
It was actually a gift from my mom before she passed. She said, I want you to be able to do this. And so It was her final gift to me before she left us.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, so I get to help people in her memory. It's pretty cool.
Does anybody else have any questions? So I do not want anyone to think, okay, well, today's the 4th or 5th. I think it's the 5th. So we're 5 days into the year. That still gives you 360 days. So don't think about it as if you're starting late, because it doesn't have to be January 1st, because every day is a new day. So let's see, how about by the end of the week, by Friday, I would love for you guys all to post. Maybe you don't have to be as completely open and share exactly what your goal is, but share what area. And if you feel comfortable sharing, then absolutely, we would love to see your goal and help cheer you on and pray over that. But at least post what area that you ended up choosing for your number one goal this year. How about that? If you guys want to post all 21, I'm good with that. I love seeing other people's goals. Okay, so I'm going to let you go. My husband got a deer. He's been out hunting all day, so I'm sure he's wanting to brag and share the whole story of how he got it. So anyway, I love you guys, and I will see you around the Anointing Nations team. Bye.